Okay, welcome back. Today we are going to be playing, probably not beating, Jackal on the NES Kevtris. And before I jump into the game, just a quick point out, the pinned comment has a few links in it. I strongly encourage you to check this out if you're interested in something new and interesting for entertainment on YouTube. It's a Doomer channel called Millenia Thinker, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in depth while we play. But first, it's only fair that we talk about the game we are playing, Jackal. So let's go ahead and start. 6 levels with a fair learning curve. The 6th level is very tough. Good music, good graphics, good control for the most part. So, one thing I always seem to forget to mention when I play these games is price point. Jackal costs about somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 to $15. This is an absolute bargain. Now, Jackal is an interesting game because it's been getting talked about a lot in the last few years. I think it was considered very much a mediocre game when it came out and during the early days of collecting. And then sometime in the last like 10 years, it got kind of a resurgence of popularity. A lot of retro gamers were talking about it as not being a hidden gem, but being one of the better titles on the NES. And I kind of agree and kind of disagree. Jackal's a good game, but it is not a great game. I have a few nitpicky issues with Jackal. My biggest issue with Jackal is look how far over you have to be to scroll the screen vertically. You have to be 3/4 of the way across the screen before it scrolls. And that is, I think that's a little unfair. 2/3, I think, right about here I think is reasonable, but all the way over here, it makes a big difference because you'll, especially in the later levels, you'll be driving over and there's enemies waiting to ambush you. So that much I don't like. To me, that's like the single biggest flaw of the game. You have to be over too far to scroll the screen side to side. Another complaint, and this one's a bit of a minor one also. This is made by Konami, the same game company that made a really fun run and gun, some of the best run and guns, the Contra games, as well as Sunset Riders on the SNES and Sega Genesis. So I like Konami, I like the Konami games, and I like the Konami run and guns. But Jackal is just a little bit too slow. It's a good game, don't get me wrong, but you have to be very strategic with your movement, especially with the unfair side-to-side scrolling. You can't just go running. I mean, maybe if you truly master the game and you know where all the enemies are, then you can afford to play like running around and just absolutely obliterating everything in your path. Otherwise, though, you're kind of stuck inching throughout your gameplay, and that's like, I get it, you do have to be strategic, but man, this game would be so much more fun if you could be a little bit more liberal with moving around. I usually die on the first level boss, by the way. Okay, so what about the channel Millenia Thinker that I was talking about earlier? A doomer channel. I have a hard time describing what exactly a doomer channel is per se, because the only one that I'm really all that familiar with is the one I watch, Millenia Thinker. So I can tell you about Millenia Thinker. It uses the Wojak and NPC. It's like a cartoon on YouTube, done with very primitive animation. Uses you know, the Wojak and you know, those NPC style faces, and also those like NPC AI style voices. And it is somewhat nihilistic in tone, which doesn't sound appealing on its own, but I think what it does a really good job of is... Okay, here we go. First boss fight. Let's try not to get our butt kicked. Yeah, I always lose a life here. I did lousy. 2 lives. I lost 2 lives on the stage 1 boss. Not a good start. But just to finish that thought, it deals with I guess, sort of... I don't want to say relationships, but it deals with how persons can feel more socially disconnected in an era of social media, if that makes any sense. A lot of times the characters seem perplexed about relationships. They seem perplexed with values and ideals. I don't know, I guess that's not a very good way of explaining it. It does deal with some heady themes, I'll give it that. I guess maybe a better way to say, to try and sum it up would be just to encourage you to watch it and let me know what you think. Each episode is probably like 8-9 minutes long. The ones that I have posted at least. But a lot of interesting themes are explored. It does seem to focus a lot on loneliness. I think the most fair way to describe it, because I don't want it to make it sound like I'm saying like it's so on point, it's so on the money. I'll be the first to admit that it's about the problems of a highly developed Western society. You know, because the issues, I mean, no one's being abducted in the middle of the night and being forced to, you know, go mine for blood diamonds in, you know, third world countries, and, you know, starving to death. You know, those aren't the themes of... Those themes aren't explored because that's not what it's about, but... I don't know, the more I watch, the more I'm impressed with how much can be packed into a 8-9 minute cartoon. So, highly encourage you to go check it out and watch it. Alright, so we got one of those lives back that we lost. Not having a very good run, but that's okay. This is, like I said, just a practice run. Okay, so we did redeem ourselves a little bit by not losing any lives on the second level boss. Alright, I guess since we got I will tell you a little bit about the, so the links that I have posted, one is called Father Figure. That one, I think, is, looks at the topic of divorce. That one's pretty heady. There's another one about the apple falling far from the tree. I think some of it has to do with expectations. It looks like some of the ones I've put up are about expectations unfulfilled based off of what we believe we've been led to expect. It doesn't let you return all the way back, it looks like. That might be another problem, because if you miss power-ups or whatever... Ugh, direct hit. I want to sink that submarine so bad. Man, you gotta be real tight with your, can we come back and... Okay, so it is gonna let us. But yeah, your maneuvering has to be, like, super tight. Alright, so here's the infamous laser section. Yeah, the only thing is, you have to be prepared for enemies to be right there waiting for you. Goodness, how many are over there? I think I mentioned this already, but you know, playing this game once in a blue moon every few months, you know, since I bought it. A few years back. But, you know, after, it's probably been, I'm not sure, maybe 5 or 6 months since I played this game last. And, you know, I haven't put that much time into it yet. So, I popped it in this morning, you know, after, you know, being cold on it for so long. And I got all the way to the last level, so very encouraged. Uh-oh. I feel like we hopefully won't have to put too much time into it before we're at the point where we can finally beat it. Okay. Man, how many more of those tanks are gonna come up? Oh. Could have done better. Wish I hadn't lost the life on it. Alright, so that takes us to mission 4. Because you can't quote-unquote go back, you're left with 2 options. You can go side to side, or you can know where all the power-ups are, know the safest route. The only problem is leaving enemies alive, you know, by not wiping them all out as you go side to side. They'll come after you. They're not gonna leave you alone. And it sucks getting pot-shotted by an enemy that just wandered over the side of the screen. Sucks, are we not going to be able to get this guy? I don't think we can get him. The screen only lets you go down a little bit once you advance. It's That's a minor nitpick. I seem to remember in the later levels, whenever you try to drop off POWs at the helipad, you get aerial assaulted by bombers. And I remember I had no problem taking this guy out. My first run. Okay, this brings us to mission 5. This one very generously starts you off with a power-up. One strategy is come down just enough to get them off screen and plow ahead and kind of get the jump on them. And I think I took the left route the last time I played. And there was a wall of mines. So you have to, game kind of forces your hand here. and I think the left route is the safer one. This is a tricky spot, trying to get just the right angle. I will say this about Jackal. This is one of those games where you feel like if you press down hard enough on the D-pad, you'll maneuver a bit tighter, and nope, doesn't work like that. Ugh. They're just, yep, they're just waiting for you. I hate that. That's why I wish there was just a bit more speed in this game. Alright, so we gave it our best. Got close to the end of Mission 5. I've done better. This is just going to have to be good enough for now. But anyway, be sure to check out the Millenia Thinker links at the bottom. I'm very interested in knowing what you all think about that. Alright, and hopefully we beat Jackal sometime in the near future.